Long before airplanes took flight or robots became reality, one man dreamed them all into existence. His mind was a century ahead of its time. Today we uncover the extraordinary life of Leonardo da Vinci, a man whose curiosity knew no limits. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just a painter. He was an inventor, engineer, anatomist, architect, writer, and dreamer. A true Renaissance man in every sense. Da Vinci lived during a time when the world was just beginning to rediscover knowledge. Yet he imagined possibilities that would take centuries to realize. Leonardo was born on April 15, 1452, in the rustic Tuscan village of Vinci. He was the illegitimate child of a wealthy notary, Messer Piero Frosino di Antonio, and a peasant woman named Caterina. Raised by his father on a family estate, young Leonardo never received his father's surname due to his illegitimacy. Instead, he became known simply as Leonardo da Vinci, Leonardo of Vinci. Until the age of 5, Leonardo lived with his mother before being taken in by his father and his new wife, Albira, a noble teenager. Though his stepmother and father had legitimate heirs, Leonardo was never fully integrated into the inheritance structure of the family. This exclusion would quietly push him towards self-reliance and creativity. Instead of formal schooling, Leonardo's education came from nature itself. The countryside became his classroom, and his endless questions shaped his destiny. He watched birds and dreamed of flight. He observed rivers and wondered about machines that could move water. From an early age, it was clear Leonardo saw the world differently. Recognizing his son's artistic talents, Leonardo's father arranged for him to apprentice under Andrea del Verrocchio, one of Florence's most respected artists and craftsmen. In Verrocchio's busy workshop, Leonardo learned not just painting, but sculpture, metalwork, architecture, and even basic engineering. The studio served powerful clients like the Medici family, and Leonardo quickly stood out. One day, while working on a collaborative piece called The Baptism of Christ, Leonardo painted one of the angels. Verrocchio was so stunned by Leonardo's contribution that he reportedly never painted again, convinced that the student had surpassed the master. By his mid-20s, Leonardo had become an independent master in the Florence Guild of Artists. He gained recognition for his revolutionary techniques, like using light and shadow, chiaroscuro, to add lifelike depth to his subjects. But along with fame, in 1476, Leonardo was anonymously accused of engaging in a homosexual relationship, a crime punishable by death. Though no evidence was ever presented and he was acquitted, the scandal scarred his reputation. Fewer commissions came his way. Rumors lingered, and the tension of being an outsider only grew. Despite this, Leonardo kept working. He began conceptualizing ideas far beyond the realm of art, machines of war, flying devices, and inventions never seen before. But even brilliance has its limits, and Florence began to feel too small for a man with such colossal ambitions. At 30, Leonardo sought a fresh start in Milan. In a now famous letter to Duke Ludovico Sforza, he barely mentioned painting, instead offering his talents as a military engineer. He described bridges, tanks, catapults, and siege weapons, most of which existed only in his imagination. The Duke was intrigued, but rather than commission weapons, he asked Leonardo to paint a portrait of his mistress. That painting became Lady with an Ermine, one of the masterpieces of the Renaissance. Leonardo soon became a fixture in the Sforza court. He worked on grand architectural plans and even began designing an enormous bronze horse statue to immortalize the Duke's power. But as with many of his projects, the statue was never completed, delayed, repurposed, and ultimately destroyed when war broke out. During his 17 years in Milan, Leonardo painted The Last Supper, a masterpiece of perspective, emotion, and religious symbolism. But while the public saw an artist, Leonardo was leading a double life. In secret, he dissected human cadavers to understand the inner workings of the body. He made anatomical sketches so precise that they rival modern textbooks. He built wax models of organs, studied the flow of blood, and mapped the human skeleton. Fearing persecution by the church, he wrote in mirrored script and hid his findings in coded notebooks. His anatomical studies would only be discovered centuries later, transforming medicine and biology long after his death. When Milan fell to the French, Leonardo fled with his notebooks. He wandered from city to city, once again trying to pitch his inventions to rulers and generals. In Venice, he presented ideas like a diving suit for underwater attacks. Still, most of his concepts were dismissed as impractical. Eventually, he returned to Florence, only to find that his fame had faded. The city now buzzed about another young genius, Michelangelo. The two men couldn't have been more different. Leonardo was elegant, refined, and focused on beauty. Michelangelo was intense, rugged, and obsessed with raw power. Their rivalry became legendary, culminating in public arguments and journal entries filled with this. Desperate for purpose, Leonardo accepted a military engineering post with Cesare Borgia, son of Pope Alexander VI and the inspiration for Machiavelli's The Prince. For a time, Leonardo built fortresses, mapped cities from above, and supervised battle logistics. Though he had finally entered the world of military strategy, the violence of Borgia's reign left Leonardo disillusioned. In his final years, Leonardo traveled to France under the patronage of King Francis I. There, in the quiet of the countryside, he reflected on a life of unfinished projects and brilliant dreams. Though many of his creations were never built, his notebooks, over 15,000 pages of sketches and ideas, would change the world. Leonardo da Vinci died in 1519 at the age of 67, but his vision, creativity, and boundless curiosity still echo across the centuries. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just an artist. He was a visionary who sketched the future and mapped the mysteries of life centuries before his time. His notebooks still inspire scientists, engineers, and dreamers today. In our next video, we'll uncover the story of a bold astronomer who dared to defy the heavens, long before Galileo turned his telescope to the stars. If you enjoyed this journey through history and discovery, make sure to like, subscribe, and join us here on Ancient Minds, where the past comes alive to shape the future.